Okay, reading the question, draw scale 1 to 1. In third angle orthographic, the following views of the model. Model would be the name of what I am drawing. I want the front view, the top view, and the right view. You have to include 5 dimensions that are marked on the pictorial view. So these ones that have been marked with circles, you have to insert. And then all hidden detail and center lines show the title, scale, and projection symbol in the space provided. I always do the title, the scale, and the projection symbol first because I tend to forget those and it's free marks. My title would be the name of the model. Title would be the name of the model, which is in this case just model. You write all caps in the writing that you have been taught. Your scale is scale 1 to 1. And then your projection symbol you always do freehand. If you do have the ruler, first angle orthographic is on the left, third angle orthographic is on the right, and then it shows you which symbol goes with which. The bottom symbol goes with the right hand side and the top symbol goes with the left hand side. So if you ever forget, you may take this into your exam and use it. You draw this freehand. So third angle, we have our circle on the left. Remember your center lines. And I have that in. So first things first, you do not draw your drawing against your X and Y axis. What you do is you measure 10 millimeters. I take my compass and I measure 10 millimeters on my compass so that all my views are exactly the same distance away from my X and Y axis. I take my board ruler, touching the circle, construction line, I take my 45-degree triangle, 90-degree construction line, okay, 90-degree angle onto where I have to draw my top view. Again, it's still a construction line. I repeat the process on the right-hand side for my right view. Construction line down, all the way through. Then I have the layout for my third angle orthographic drawing. From there, I am going to analyze my model. I'm going to start with the front view in this case, but first I need to work out my height as well as my width. So my width, if I add it together, is going to be 12, 48, 12, and 12. I start drawing in the corner that I created here, which is exactly 10 millimeters away from my y-axis and 10 millimeters away from my x-axis. So I take my ruler and I measure 12, 48, 12, and 12. $48, 12, and 12. Then I have the entire width of my front view. Now I'm going to calculate the height of my front view. from the base to the gap I have here. I need to draw this in on my front view even though it won't be seen because my question stated all hidden detail and center lines must be shown. So it's 12 millimeters plus 6 millimeters. Then here it indicates that this base, so the height to the center point here would be 42. So it's 12, 6, 42, and then the widest part of my circle, the diameter is 36. But this 42 measures to my center line. Therefore, I have to change my diameter to a radius. 36 divided by 2 is going to give me 18. So my radius is going to be 18. And then that is going to give me my total height of my model for my front view. So it's 18, 42, 6, and 12, measuring from top to bottom because it's from top to bottom. So I measure from my starting point in the corner that I have indicated. I move my ruler onto the 18 point plus 42. Plus 6. Plus 12. Then I have the entire height and width measured out of my front view. I take my board ruler from this bottom piece here because I want to draw out the base of my front view. Front view, from the left, I will be able to see this rectangle here, but I have to include hidden detail, which means this piece will be seen as well, so I have to include that line. My diagonals, which is my wedge here, I will be able to see from the front and the top. So I'm going to mark it with lines like so, and then hidden detail on the inside, I will also be able to see that. And then this wedge that I have here, we add that. That is everything that I will be able to see from my front. Okay, so now drawing in the bottom base, I draw a construction line through because I'm going to use this for my right view as well. So construction line through the section for my front view and my right view. For the bottom line, the hidden detail line that I need to draw in, as well as the top of my base. Drawing it straight through. Now I have 3 construction lines over here. Then for the width of my base, I have measured out the 12, 48, 12, 12. So I go to the very last piece that I have here. I can draw in, if I put my triangle in line with the mark I made for the last measurement on the 12 millimeters, I can draw in an A line for the base of my model. So through all the lines, I can draw in my A line, which I have there, and I can do it on both sides. Then I can also include the top of my base, A line, darkest line that I draw, and the bottom of my base, A line, darkest line that I draw. Then, as my question states, all hidden detail and center lines must be included. So for this line I have here, which is that 6 millimeter gap, I use a B line to draw hidden detail. Hidden detail lines are measured 2 millimeter line, 2 millimeter gap, 2 millimeter line, 2 millimeter gap. So I draw those in, 2 millimeter line, 2 millimeter gap, all the way through using a B line. Remember, a B line is darker than a C line, which is my construction line, but it is lighter than my A line, which is the outline of my drawing. I just draw all of those in. And then I have the base of my model. The next piece I'm going to draw is the cylinder part with the piece that holds it up. Diagonals I usually leave for last, especially drawn from the side, because I'm uncertain at the exact angle. I use the measurements. So I want to finish my cylinder before I draw in the wedge here onto the base of my drawing. So this cylinder's edge is 12 millimeters in. So it's on the second dot that I drew here, and it's all the way from the top of my drawing to the base. So I can immediately draw this as an A line. So I take my triangle through the second last dot that I have already measured, which is 12 millimeters away from the edge, and I draw an A line straight down and through, and that would be this line that I have here. From there, I measure the width of my cylinder, which I have not done yet, which is 36 millimeters. So I take my ruler, from the edge of the line I just drew in, I measure right at the top 36 millimeters, and I'm going to draw a construction line straight through because I'm going to use this size for my top view as well. All of these lines that I've drawn so far I can take all the way through to my top view. To make that a little bit easier so that I don't have to draw double lines, I am going to use my 60-degree triangle as it is a little bit longer, but remember, when working with orthographic projection, we always work at a 45-degree angle, so please don't get confused between the two triangles. I'm going to draw my construction line straight through from my front view all the way onto my top view area for all the lines that I've drawn so far. And then when I draw the edge of my cylinder, I'm going to draw it through my front view as well, because I'm going to use that to measure the 36 millimeter height. I already have my center line, but I will draw that in once I've drawn the entire cylinder in first. So there's my 36 millimeter mark, and I mark it straight through. From there, I can measure my 36 millimeters to get the width or diameter of my cylinder. I mark my 36 millimeters. I can draw the edge of that in as an A line. Now, this wedge here is 12 millimeters wide. I'm going to draw a construction line through from my front through to my top view, but I don't want to draw in the A line yet because I don't know exactly where this is going to touch the edge of my circle for my cylinder. That will be determined by my right view. So to finish this line, I have to finish my right view first, otherwise I will not be able to get the exact point at which the wedge attaches to my circle. So I'm going to do the rest of my cylinder so long, inserting that line there. Then again, the wedge for the centerpiece here is 12 millimeters away from the edge of my base. I've already measured that 12 millimeters out. I'm going to draw in my construction line all the way through, and then from the edge of my cylinder to the construction line I just joined to my base, there I can draw an A line, diagonal line in. I can complete the top of my cylinder. Now I still need to insert my center line as well as my hidden detail lines for the hole going through the center of my cylinder. So center line, I've already marked it. It's 18 millimeters from the top. So with a B line, remember, a center line is a long dash, space, short dash, space, long dash. We usually work on 10 millimeters, 2 millimeter space, 2 millimeter line, 10 millimeters, 2 millimeter space, 2 millimeter line, drawn as a B line. I'm not going to take it all the way through, but I will draw the construction line all the way through because I'm going to use that for my right view as well. Then from the center line, my diameter for that circle is 24, which means my radius is going to be 12. So from the center line, I measure 12 up and 12 down. I make the mark. Up, 12 down. I insert my hidden detail lines. 2 millimeter line, 2 millimeter gap as a B line. A little bit lighter than my A line, but darker than my C line. And that is the completed front view, excluding the line here, which I will only be able to determine once I have done my right view.